Another thing we need to be cautious of, in particular in this digital age where it is so easy, and again, that's related to backbiting and slander. A lot of people use the word critiquing in order to justify to themselves, I guess, when they slander other people, when they try and publicly shame other people, or even if it's private messaging, just sending messages to others, trying to dishonor another individual and backbite, slander, and be one of those talebearers. Talebearers, subhanAllah. And how severe is that? You know, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, and this is in Bukhari and Muslim, and this is as close as you can possibly get to the authenticity of the Quran itself. لا يدخل الجنة قتات. Heaven is forbidden. Heaven is barred for the slanderer. For the one that involves in backbiting and is the to the point of talebearing. And if you're not, if you can talk about another individual, cause hatred between other individuals, without even flinching, let alone trembling to the point of collapse, because this is how serious it is if you partake in this type of wretched evil. Yani, forget the close proximity to Allah. Really, that individual really has to reflect. And the recipient not entering in a state of complete fear. Because if you don't stop that individual, you are, in essence, also partaking in that slander and that backbiting. How easily and how readily we can fall just by the wagging of the tongue. And so how can the heart be so detached from such a severe situation, outright evil? And in order to, and the second one that I wanted to look at, for us to be able to understand, in order for us to understand this, we need to go to a Qudsi hadith. And so this particular Qudsi hadith, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Man aadali waliya. Whoever causes harm, yani it's not even harm, whoever shows animosity, yani if you have this kin that you just can't get rid of, you've got this hatred and animosity to somebody that is close to Allah, somebody whose proximity is reduced. The barriers between them and their Lord is very limited. And you don't know who that is. How can anybody possibly know who that is? A person could be working in a shoe repair shop, and you know, society today may not think too highly of that person because they judge him based on that, on their occupation. But that person may be extremely close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, when I was studying, one of the professors I was listening to was talking about an incident of a scholar that was walking down the marketplace, and all of a sudden this scholar becomes ecstatic, spiritually ecstatic. And the thing that makes him so ecstatic spiritually is he hears the work of a blacksmith. And when he hears the work of the blacksmith, he realizes that the blacksmith, even during his work, is conducting dhikr of Allah. Because every strike of his hammer was like the beating of the heart. You know, isn't it interesting that Allah created the beating of the heart in such a way, it is so close to you that even if you were to quieten the mind and just listen and feel the beating of the heart within you, while physical in nature affects the metaphysical reality within you. You know, dum dum, dum dum, dum dum, dum dum. You know, that's how the heart generally beats. Allah, 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 Allah. And so this blacksmith, this scholar hears the blacksmith when he's hitting it's two taps. Allah, 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 Allah. And so you don't know who is in close proximity with Allah. Certainly you don't want to try and affect those people that you are not absolutely certain. Even in that regard, what do you gain and what do you benefit? To show animosity and hatred as opposed to feel for them and try and guide them and help them, even if they're doing wrong, even if they've done wrong. Every son of Adam makes mistakes. Every son of Adam. But the best of those who make mistakes are those who turn back after having turned away from their Lord. They are the ones that are best amongst humanity. And so it's not about nobody sinning ever. It's about those that when they sin, they have the greatest remorse and their turning back to Allah is most emphatic, most enthusiastic, with a passion and a yearning and a desire to make amends with their Lord. So that's why don't judge anybody. Don't judge anybody. You don't know what your state will be even tomorrow and what their state will be as close as tomorrow, let alone a month or a year away. So Allah says, whoever shows animosity, hatred towards, causes pain in essence, towards those that are close to me. And usually it's those that are yearning to be close. Here's the severe warning. فَقَدْ آذَنْتُهُ بِالْحَرْبِ. The result of that will be that I will declare war upon him. Who in their right mind, who even with an ounce of spirituality would ever therefore risk entering such a state? And one of the greatest damages we can cause in this day and age is damaging somebody's reputation, slandering and backbiting about an individual. And this war is not a nuclear strike. Even a nuclear strike in comparison to this, it's tragic, it's devastating, it's horrendous, but it's related and it's confined only to the finite realm. It's confined only to the finite realm. A nuclear strike upon you, even a nuclear strike upon you, will take you from this world, but it cannot reach you beyond this world. And so the risk here that Allah declares war upon you, that war is upon your heart. That's why when you conduct such a repugnant evil as backbiting and slandering, talking about somebody in their absence, in particular when it has to do with their honor and their dignity, you won't flinch, because that individual that you talk about, or somebody that you may have harmed in the past, you may have judged to be somebody that's insignificant, but that person may be dear to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, maybe in close proximity to him, you don't know. And that war on your heart, suddenly you start praying 5 times a day, but you don't feel the serenity. You don't feel that tranquility. You don't feel the transformation take effect. It's hollow. And you're wondering why. And the fasting that you do does not elevate you in your consciousness of God, does not allow you to subdue your desires and your ego and your lower base self, such as envy and jealousy, which is one of the greatest drivers for backbiting and slander. They'll give you an excuse, oh, he's done this or she's done that, or they say he's done this or they say she's done. So it's bad enough you talking about that person's back, but what you're saying is what you heard someone else say about that person, which makes it all the more repugnant and evil. And so you wonder why I go to Hajj so often. Why? I don't feel anything. Well, think back and look at what it is you've done to what individual, how you partook in that as a result.